I can't make it.
Why not?
Because I have a job. Now, I can't keep coming here. They'll fire me.
Your therapy is more important than your job. In any case, the Institute will clear you.
Look, don't give me that Institute stuff now. I know what's going on here.
Aha! A little active resistance. It's a good sign, George. Let it out.
Look, you don't know what you're doing. Now, you change one thing,
you're not really resisting me. You're resisting your own self-examination. It happens in every therapeutic situation.
Look, I am not going to do this anymore.
George, I had hoped that your motivation for being here would be better by now. What about getting well?
Yeah, well, what about it? You tell me.
I am going to cure you, George. You have my word on that. You must believe me.
I would like to believe you, Dr. Haber. I really would.
Good. Then we have something in common.
Why doesn't this Dr. Haber just come right out and say that he knows you have effective dreams?
I think he's waiting to find out more before he lets me know what's going on.
Can't say that I blame him.
The thing that bothers me is what he'll do next.
What do you mean?
Unlimited power means unlimited danger.
Well, according to you, he's only changed one painting in the weather.
Not to mention the small improvements to his office. Then there's the cabin.
What cabin?
I have a 10-year lease on a cabin overlooking the ocean.
You do?
I won it in a government lottery. Can I buy you lunch?
Well, I'd really like to help you, Mr. Orb. But what am I supposed to do if you keep changing reality all the way back to the Stone Age and then destroying the evidence?
Well, I wouldn't expect you to believe me without evidence.
Well, thank God.
Well, what I'd like is for you to come to a session.
Doubtful, without good cause.
Well, what am I supposed to do? I mean, let this guy keep treating me like an experimental animal while he goes around tinkering with...
Did you say experimental?
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, Haber says he's still working on it.
Have you signed anything, any releases, anything beyond the VT forms and consent to hypnosis?
I don't think so.
You've got a case.
I do?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Well, let's just get one thing straight. This doesn't mean I believe a word of your story. All it means is if I can prove this thing is experimental, then maybe, just maybe, I can get you switched to another shrink.
Then you'll come to a session.
But not as your lawyer. I'll arrange to come as an HEW impartial observer on an investigation of that thingamajigger, okay?
Dr. Haber.
Yes, Penny.
This just arrived, the population report you wanted.
Oh, yes.
Dr. Mergen called on a consultation.
Tell him I'm too busy.
And this notice from HEW. They're sending an observer this morning to look at the augmenter.
What? Damn bureaucrats. Why don't they mind their own business?
Oh, and Mr. Orr is here, Doctor.
Well, George, you're early today. Something of a breakthrough, I'd say, considering you're usually 15 minutes late.
I am?
So how are you feeling today?
So-so?
How can anyone feel so-so on a magnificent day like this?
Well, you know what the Greeks say. Moderation in all things.
So what would you like to talk about today?
Oh, I don't care.
Do you have somewhere to go, George?
Oh, no, I'm just anxious to get started.
Well, another breakthrough. 2 in 1 session. Shall we try for 3? Yes, what is it?
Miss Lalache from HEW is here.
All right, send her in. Seems that my fame has brought me to the attention of the HEW. They're sending an observer to make sure my work with the augmenter is on the up and up. Isn't that ridiculous?
Dr. Haber, this is Heather Lelache.
Pleasure to meet you, Miss Lelache. Won't you have a seat right here?
I assume you were informed I'd be recording the proceedings?
Perhaps you'd better ask the patient's permission. Mr. Orr, this is Miss Lelache of HEW.
Do you mind, Mr. Orr?
No, go ahead.
Very well. Dr. Haber, is the patient diagnosed as neurotic or psychotic?
The patient's diagnosis is not for public record, Miss Lelache. I'm surprised at you. Besides, it's my augmenter that interests you, right? Well, anyway, you know what they say. Neurotics build castles in the sky, psychotics live in them.
And psychiatrists collect the rent.
Very good. Very good, Miss Lelache. Well, have you any questions before we start?
Can you explain the role of your device?
Yes, of course. My augmenter here merely ensures that my patient will dream by instigating and reinforcing his own dream state activity. What do you say, George? Shall we run off a dream?
Okay.
Incidentally, Mr. Lelache, this will constitute a record for your people that my augmenter does not loosen toenails, harden arteries, blow your mind, or have any ill effects whatsoever. Standard hypnotic procedure, Miss Lelache. Though a bit disconcerting to the uninitiated, I will admit. Please turn your recorder off. A therapy session is not for public record. Notice the accelerated pulse and the rapid eye movements. He's ready to accept a suggested dream. Now, George, the last time you were here, you were telling me about something that bothered you very much. You said you felt restricted and closed in on the subway, in your office, in the streets. Do you remember the word you used?
What did he say?
Overpopulation. That's what he said. Now, George, when I say the word Antwerp, you are going to have an effective dream about this thing that bothers you, this overpopulation. You are going to dream about space, about all the elbow room in the world. You'll feel uncrowded, unsqueezed, and this overpopulation thing will not be a problem anymore. Antwerp.